Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to another edition here of Intuitive Angling. Really appreciate you guys checking the video out. I know that everybody's busy and it's hard to get time to do anything, so thanks a lot for taking a few minutes out of your day and watching the video. Today I'm going to give you guys some hard-earned pond fishing tips that'll help you guys with your pond fishing, because I have got a ton of experience about pond fishing. I'm sort of going to give you guys some tips and advice that were hard earned, let's just say, to make it simple, and it's definitely going to help you guys have a lot more fun fishing farm ponds. Real quick, just want to give you guys a weekly update. If you haven't had a chance, please go by and check out Fish the Moment and hit our lake map breakdowns. We got myself, Matt Steffen, Johnny Schultz. We got lake map breakdowns all over the country: summer maps, fall maps, winter maps, spring maps. We build personal breakdowns if you guys want a personal request. It's just a really great way to learn more about a lake that you want to learn more about and get some really good fishing spots, get you a good foundation to start out with. I'll include the link in the description. You guys can check it out there. Sorry about the dang chargers and crotch rockets out here. I swear, with this road we live next to, it's like every 20 minutes or some idiot out there with the charger or a motorcycle or something like that. That's, I love summer, but the worst thing about summer is the crotch rocket motorcycle guys and the Charger and the Challenger guys. They just mess everything up. So okay, let's get into it. So guys, I'm gonna start out right off the bat. I am an old pond fishing gangster. I hate to say it now, but I have snuck into more farm ponds back in the day when I was a teenager, not anymore, than probably anybody out there. I grew up in Joplin, Missouri, and north of Joplin, Missouri there, it's a lot of farmland from between there to Kansas City. Got a lot of family-owned farms up there and a lot of farm ponds. And I never could get permission. It's like every time I would ask a farmer to fish their farm ponds, they would say no to me every single time. And I was just a kid. I'm talking like I was, 14, 15, 16 years old. And I didn't have any place to fish. I couldn't go to the lake. You could go to the creek, but it wasn't that great fishing. But if you could get into a good farm pond, you could just catch hogs right and left. So me and my buddies, we became experts at sneaking into farm ponds. And the thing about it is we never kept any. We just fished for fun and turned them back. But throughout, there was about a 2 or 3 year period there where we were just farm pond gangsters, man. We just sneak in and fish farm ponds. We got ran out a lot. We got cussed at, we got yelled at, we had shotguns pulled on us, we had crazy farmers yelling at us, but we just loved to bass fish so much that it was like worth the risk. And like I said, I look back on that, I wouldn't recommend, I'm not recommending anybody to sneak into farm ponds. Always get permission, because it's the right thing to do. And you shouldn't sneak on people's property, but man, it was a different time back then. I'm talking about the 1970s, and it's just a different place and time. But anyway, over the course of the time, I got really good at fishing farm ponds. And then when I got older, I had a couple large ponds myself on the properties I owned. So I got real familiar with how to fish farm ponds, how to fish small bodies of water. I'm going to give you guys some tips and advice with that. Okay, first of all, farm pond fishing will spoil you. It's a lot simpler than public body waters. And guys that fish farm ponds all the time, they don't understand what the real world of fishing is like, because farm pond fishing is not the real world. It's 100 times easier most of the time, depending upon how good the pond is. All ponds are not created equal. One of the things that I'll just tell you about farm ponds here is most people, I'm going to give you guys some tips and advice. Most people walk the banks on farm ponds, or they fish out of boats or something like that, smaller boats. But back in a lot of the ponds that I fished over there, we couldn't take a boat out in it, obviously, sneaking in. So we had to learn how to fish really good off the bank or in the water. One of the things that you have to do is, if you're going to be really good at farm pond fishing, is you got to be able to get off the bank. And the way that we did it back then is we got out and waded. I'm talking we'd wade up to our necks on the water into the mud, usually at night, because we fished it at night so people wouldn't catch us in it. So, but we got out there to get where the fish are. One of the things about farm pond fishing is Every single pond is different as far as how it's constructed. Some of the ponds are nothing but shoreline cover. Some of it has some offshore structure. Some of it may have some submergent grass, all that type of stuff. But most farm ponds, you can fish everything. So it's not like a lake where you have to find the fish. You can literally fish every inch of a farm pond. So that's not the hardest part. The biggest thing that I have found in farm pond fishing is lure selection. Lure selection is the number one thing in farm pond fishing, simply because, you don't have to find the fish. You've got the fish isolated, they're corralled. Ponds are anywhere between, just size of a swimming pool up to 4 or 5 or 20 acres or whatever. But most of the time you can fish the whole thing. The biggest overriding factor that you have to realize in farm pond fishing is the water visibility. Water visibility dictates lure choice, and it's a big consideration in farm ponds. The number one lure that I recommend in a farm pond, if the water visibility is dirty, because I'm used to fishing a lot of dirty farm ponds, being from the farmlands up there. When I talk about dirty, I'm talking about under 12 inches, is a spinnerbait and a jig. Those are the two farm pond lures I've had the best success on. Most of the time, I'll throw like a 3/8 ounce white and chartreuse spinnerbait with usually two like a number 5 and a number 3 Colorado blade on it, some type of a thumping spinnerbait, and then like a 1/4 to 3/8 ounce jig. Not a heavy jig because you're fishing shallow, but usually like some type of a black and blue 1/4 ounce 3/8 ounce jig. That's going to be really good with that. The thing that you have to remember on farm ponds, regardless of the water clarity, and I'll get into the clear water ponds in a second, is it helps you if you downsize your lure size. Because one of the things that I found out about pond fishing versus lake fishing is that the bigger the body of water, in general, the bigger lures a bass will hit. For example, on a big body of water, you might catch some fish on a 10 or 12 inch glide bait. Farm ponds don't work like that. Big lures do not work very good in farm ponds. You will always do better fishing smaller baits. So that's why I'm like on my spinner baits, go down to a small profile spinner bait. Something, cut the wire back on it, don't put a big trailer on it, make a small compact spinner bait. And the same with the jig. Make your jig, trim your skirt back, put a smaller trailer on it. Smaller is going to definitely work better with that. Now, as the water clarity increases, like where you start to have over a foot of visibility, very few farm ponds are clear. Most of them are going to be a little bit off colored, but let's just go say to the 1 to 3 foot clarity. That's when it opens up a couple different options. One of the best farm pond lures for water visibility 12 inches to 3 feet is a soft plastic stick bait like a Zoom's Linky or Cinco. You cannot go wrong with that. I'm going to guess, in my opinion, that's the number one farm pond bait if the water visibility is over 12 inches. You can wacky rig it, you can Texas rig it, just fish it weightless for the most part. And whatever cover's available, if there's cover on the shoreline, fine. If there's some offshore grass fish on it, but a soft plastic stick bait is a deadly, deadly bait with that. Another bait that works really good under those conditions on a farm pond is a frog. Frog fishing in a pond is great, and you don't have to have grass or cover to catch fish on it. The only thing you need is shade. A lot of these farm pond bass, if the water's a little bit cleaner, they will get right up on the bank in the summertime to feed on bluegills, and you can skip or cast a frog underneath any overhanging trees, and you can always catch some good ones like that. And then if you're fishing the farm pond in the cooler weather months, like when the water temperature is below 55 degrees, the two lures that work best for me are rattle traps or lipless crankbait, rattle trap type bait, or jerk bait, depending upon the depth of the water. A lipless crankbait is deadly in a farm pond. It absolutely is deadly unless the water is really dirty. So give that a try with that. But the main thing, guys, is pretty simple. It's all about covering water. Try to parallel the banks. Try to hit any visible targets. If you don't have a boat, get out there and wade. If you wade and get out off the bank a little bit, it definitely makes it a lot better. A lot of the farm ponds that I used to fish, they were more like farm ponds for cattle to drink out of. So they were mud-lined banks. There wasn't any rock on them. A lot of them didn't have any overhanging trees. They were dirty, shallow, ponds for cows to drink out of. And so that's what we did, a lot of wading in those situations there with that. So anyway, that's just a few farm pond tips. Like I said, farm ponds are easy to fish. Hardest thing about fishing a farm pond is getting permission to fish one. And again, I'm not encouraging anybody to sneak into farm ponds. Don't follow the thing that I did 50 some years ago. Definitely try to get permission, and it can be some of the best fishing that you're going to have for sure. So hope that helps, and thanks for tuning in, guys. We'll talk later.